Netcasting live. Testing. 1, 2, 7.
Yeah.
Guys, This is Jameson. I am joined by Corey and Hollis Echo Jr. the Third.
The third, by the way. It's the third. Make sure you get the third.
Junior the Third.
Hey. What's up, guys?
Guys, what's been going down in the world of Netrunner in the South? Or the
South.
Or the mid. Corey, I really geographically have no idea where you sit.
We're neighbors. So I'm in Alabama. He's in Georgia. We're basically we're right next to each other.
Yeah, we're in the often forgotten about corner of the country.
Yes.
The lower end. It's been great. A lot of people, if you don't know, a big thing people are getting pumped and excited for is the SMC finals. So we've got coming up in a few weeks. There's going to be people, hopefully, coming in from all the surrounding states to compete for a pretty cool prize and some other goodies and stuff like that. So if you haven't looked into it, looked up details, there's posts. I think the event's probably posted in like Netrunner Geeks. You can just search for like SMC Finals on Facebook and the event page will pop up. If you're not a member of the North Georgia Netrunners Facebook page, you're in the area, it's a good one because it kind of covers a lot of our events and stuff in the region. You can check it out, do pre-registration. We're going to be running a lot of events, like as far as the big tournament, last chance qualifier, drafts. I think we're even going to do like a sealed event, challenge decks. It's going to be 2 days of crazy Netrunner goodness. Wow. For all you folks who couldn't make it in the Worlds, you can come down to this and hang out. It'll be a good time.
Way to rub it in for me.
James, you can come on down, man. If you want to come on down, we got
just come hang out.
I only come down if I get the Price is Right intro.
Oh, wait.
You gotta ask me real Price is Right, like, come on down. Hollis, do you got anything to top that?
To top it, I don't know if I can top it, but I can match it. Here we go. So over there, right there. we still know where it is, guys. We haven't lost it yet. Right in that area, right there. You can click a button that says Patreon, and what you can do there is you can go there and donate. If you guys have a penny, $1, $5, $500, or $5 million. We would love $5 million. And you can donate that to A&R Bad Publicity. We know that a lot of you guys enjoy watching the videos. You guys give us a lot of really good feedback as far as things we can do better, things you want to see, things you want to hear us talk about. That Patreon allows us to pay for things like the SoundCloud account, allows us to pay for any equipment that we use, for the cast specifically. And, it's really just a way, if you guys feel like you want to give back to, other members of the community that contribute to the content that's provided, we would really love the support. So thank you guys so much for all your, previous support and assistance. And, if you guys want to throw, more dollars our way, we would love that. Thank you so much. So, like I said, I can't top it. I can match it, Corey.
Yeah,
Got
good.
you.
That's
good. It's good.
It's a good sales pitch. And you can also give this video a thumbs up because that helps in search results. Fellas, let's dive right into the meat of this show. Today we're going to talk about corporation currents. That is what the people have come to see. That is what they were charged admission at the door for. Everyone got in 2 for 1 with a coupon. But seriously, what's going on with corporation currents these days?
So, some are actually getting played.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Currents are actually becoming a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple reasons. Like, we're only discussing the corp side, but on the runner side, we know that employee strike is a really good card versus certain very specific decks.
Rumor mill.
It's crazy. Yeah, and there's that one, right? There's that one, which basically has effectively changed the nuance that exists in Netrunner currently, right? Like, if you play Jackson a certain way right now, you probably might want to consider changing the way you look at playing Jackson going forward, since Rumor Mill is a card. Those two cards existing in the game very much change the fundamentals of like, building a corp deck and kind of just, that's it. Like, I've got my strategy. There's no way for the runner to knock it on its head, really. So we're seeing corp decks play a lot of currents now to combat those things.
I'm really excited for this because I thought that currents were kind of underutilized for a long time since they came out. I mean, that is because some of the most powerful ones I feel couldn't be carried out of the faction that they were in. And some of them were just kind of blasé that you had access to. The runner side, currents all day, every day for me. I think I usually have it. Well, it's not like I'm going to put multiple, but I usually have a current on my runner side, and I have for a long time. It's really interesting though because it's almost been a year since last Worlds. And we saw currents were still there with ELP, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of on its downslope, but it still was popping up in a couple decks.
And you had Soul came out just before Worlds, so there was some of those decks that were like current focused, and I think it's when you started to see them a lot. I played Soul at Worlds. It was a good time. I had fun. I had multiple currents in that deck. It was good. I liked it.
So let's get into the current selection now. So let me preference this little section we're getting into, people, because I don't want any flaming going on here. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about all the currents that are currently known. These are all known corporation currents. That means at the very end, there are 2 currents that are unreleased. So if you are the kind of person that likes to open the packs and get a surprise, I'll give you warning when to plug your ears.
Yeah.
Keep the video rolling.
Yeah. That's the best we can do, though. That's the best we can do. We're giving the spoiler warning. I'm telling you. Jeez. All
right, let's get into Jinteki. We've broken these down by, these are in they are in an order, but no particular order of importance. They are grouped by faction, so we're going to talk about each faction's currents. So, getting here, we have clones are not people.
Yes, they are.
This is fairly new. It's a 3 influence Jinteki card, costs 3. When you score an agenda, add clones are not people to your score area as an agenda worth 1 agenda point. Who's going to start this ball rolling?
So I ran a kind of like a fast advanced Polana with this. It was a good time. It's a pretty cool current, but it's very particular in how you use it. It also is one of the most expensive currents as far as like just the creds in order to get it in play, which is something that is important because you'll see currents that are just free to throw down or 1 credit, and this having a cost of 3. It's a little hefty investment for something that you'd be pretty irritated if it just gets cleared off by the runner or if you're not able to trigger it immediately.
Yeah, I think there was an article out, or either that or was a discussion with Lucas saying the most powerful, because currents can come and go so quickly, the most powerful ones are going to cost you a little more, and it's that investment that you have to kind of bank into, get their short boost, and try and capitalize while they're on the table. This one here is a direct representation of one that's on the runner side, but I think the runner side one does more work. Like we're looking at a neutral on the runner side. This one is 3. If this card, Hollis, was neutral or cost 1 influence, do you think it'd be played a little more? Do you think we'd see it bounced around?
Well, I think so. I think if it was neutral, we would probably see it used a lot more. I think the reason why it's not neutral is because fast advance decks normally have to score a total of 4 agendas, and a card like this, considering how fast advance normally operates, would mean they only really would technically need to score 3, right? Like under most circumstances, they would just have to score the 3, and that when you at the time, if you look at when this card came out before the most windowless change, if you were to look at Astro Script, you were looking at San City Grid, and all the adding factors to that, there's something very sickening about scoring an Astro, having the Astro counter, and then having a Sand Center res, and then on the following turn going, clones not people, install, a Beal, move a counter, move the counter, advance once, and here's a 3-point fast events card. Like, it's very powerful that way if it was like a neutral thing. So I think that it's 3 influence to keep it in a faction that doesn't really do fast advance. So that, if a fast advance deck didn't want to do this, it would be incredibly taxing to do so, which is, overall is the point. So.
Yeah. I mean, there's not really a lot of, because this card's really like a particular use, right? It's like you're either going to play it right when you're about to score. I think it's very rare you'll see this card get thrown out unless you really need to use it to clear an existing runner current. Yeah. You're just trying to get some negative effect off of you. So most of the time, this card is played like right when you're about to fire off that agenda.
Yeah. See, the problem that I see with it too is I don't know. I kind of wish we could play with it at 2 influence. A 3 influence card is a hefty stake to take out a faction, and I think it would be kind of cool in some of these controlling the message decks that we're seeing that uses the psychographics and that's really heavily on tagging with the Beal, because maybe you could, you wouldn't have to pump that Beal so much and then get one, but then you might I don't know. Then you might as well, I guess, advance the Beal a little more and just forget clones are not people. But
yeah, man, they're not people.
I will say that I do see like scenarios where this card is insanely powerful, just even within faction in Jinteki. Like, I know a lot of Jinteki decks run either Future Perfect or GFIs or both, and it feels like there's definitely a strength here, knowing that the 2 common agendas. I think the 2 agendas I see most often now in Jinteki are pretty much Nisei Division Mark II and GFI. And usually, besides those, there's other 4-2s in the deck or something like that. And like Sales Team or something. And it's interesting because it helps cover the issue that you could encounter where you are trying to score the 2 2-pointers and the 1-3. Because I mean, if we're just going to be real, sometimes the agendas just don't show up the way we want them to. Sometimes we end up with 2 Nisei and a Sales Team. And there's something really neat and advantageous about taking a 4-2 and trying to score it like it's a 5-3, and then allowing us to basically go, install advance, play clones not people, advance, and here's my last 3 points I needed, or the 7th point that I needed. When I compared this to Freedom to Equality on the runner side, I actually thought that I would see clones are not people a bit more often, just because it seems so good for the corp to get an extra point, because corps have to work. It seems like corps have to work a lot harder to score, right? And I think what I was surprised with is just that because corps have less clicks, and on top of that, this card is additional influence, and the way, just in general, the way agendas are kind of placed, clones are not people is a lot harder to use than Freedom to Equality. So while I still like the card, I definitely I can obviously see why people are not playing it as expected. It's just very difficult to set up.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody follows our previous episodes and stuff like that, with me, I'm a big fan of being able to score points in different and unique ways. Through currents or, for example. I was heavy on Freedom when it came out. Still am, but this card here, as much as I want to be behind it, I find it really hard to fit into a Jinteki build. I really do. I'm not really reaching for it right away, and I know Jinteki, like you guys said, is not really a naturally fast advanced faction. But yeah, their agenda composition is really, I think, the kind of wacky. So yeah. I do think it would benefit from it. But do you guys have anything else to say about clones as not people?
No, other than you're not reaching for it because it's not trying to kill the runner.
Yeah. Yeah. But okay, so I'll transition because I think this thing suffers from what we like to call desperado syndrome. And that was where every criminal console always gets compared to Desperado, because you're always looking for something better, but nothing ever comes. Clones is Not People suffers because Cerebral Static. I think Cerebral Static is a way, way better choice if you want to run a current in Jinteki. I honestly, I don't know why this card is not more influenced than it is. I think you really could have flipped these influence values around. Cerebral Static for me is so powerful out there that this could have been a 3 influence card, and Clones Is Not People could have been 2 for the amount of that is going to get used.
Yeah, I think maybe because Cerebral Static was like the first Jinteki current, so maybe they initially priced it low just so it might get splashed around in other decks and stuff like that, because it was the first on the block for that faction.
Testing it out.
Yeah.
So Cerebral Static costs 2 influence. The runner's identity text box is blank. When this came out, I think people were very hesitant to really put currents in competitive decks and stuff like that. And there was a couple people that slot this in. I remember watching some streams, and Pacer had like I think a 1-of in decks, and he would pull it out and just wreck people's IDs. Like I think the person he was playing against on stream was playing Kit, and it was just like,
yeah, that was against Zach. I think Zach Bunn.
Take
yeah,
your.
It was a rough game to watch.
It was like old school duel, right? Like take your white glove off and just right across the face. You know? Like,
oh wow, classic. We take it.
Yeah, yeah, it was good. No, it's definitely a really powerful current, and against like certain runner builds who really need their ability to trigger in order to get the most out of the deck. If you get that card online early and you're able to protect it, because that's a big thing about it too, is just being able to leave it on the board. It's rough, and I think it can hurt the runner side more than the opposite, with like an employee strike hitting a corp at the right time. I just think Cerebral Static has some ability just to cripple certain runners and just shut down their whole game plan.
I think it could cripple most runners.
Yeah.
Like
Andy's fine.
Yeah, well, yeah. Let's try and think of the like off the top of your head. What is there? Only 2? Andy and
Val,
Professor.
And well, Val it doesn't do anything.
Oh yeah, so 3.
Let's see. Exile, because his ability doesn't do anything anyway. Yeah. But yeah, it's true. I mean, it most of the time it will always do something or have some sort of effect.
Hollis is more in shock than anything else.
I know, man. He is focused. Look at him.
Okay, I'm mad. I'm mad. This is a current that exists.
Really?
No, sorry.
It hurts my soul as like the runner, like when I play.
Does that mean
Andy? Did you play Andy a lot when this card came out?
I did, but like I did. Oh, you caught me. But now that I play Wizard, it's more depressing. It's like,
yeah, you're talking like the person that's been wiped a few times with this card.
You still get to keep those credits on your ID. You don't lose those credits.
Okay, but let me tell you about those. Let me tell you about losing them though. Like, let me tell you why I picked the ID.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Well, this card's bad. All right, next. No, I'm kidding. It's a hoser, right? Like, it's the same reason we're using Employee Strike versus IG. Because, like, decks like IG and a CTM can be so powerful that, the best answer is just to blank the ID, period. And this does that for the runner.
Hollis, does the corporation have the edge in this game? Does it always have the edge? Why are these cards here, Cerebral Static, Clones Are Not People, being in faction cards on this side of the game, but on the other side of the game we have them as neutrals? Talk to me, man. Talk to me.
Yeah, so I think it is possible that because there's hidden information in the game, and that the corp IDs take advantage of that hidden information in a unique way. Like, for example, if we use IG, it's basically for every, like, IG says for every unknown card in the discard pile, for every face down, you have to pay an additional trash cost for any card where you have, you can play really bad card effects or sorry, really detrimental card effects for the runner in archives. You can play Shock. You can play Space Camp. You can play, but like you can play a ton of cards in archives and like or enough cards in archives, and they'll trigger on your turn, and the runner suffers something negative from it. The ability is so strong comparatively to like runner abilities, I think, that it's easier just to it's less powerful to blank the runner versus blanking the corp.
What?
Wait, no, reverse that. It's less powerful to it's more sorry. It's more powerful to
rewind that up.
Yeah, rewind that up. It's more powerful to blank the corp, and so they want to give every runner like that option to be able to like stop these like super popular emergent strategies that the corps have that would require extremely difficult deck techs, like hard deck counters. Like if you look at IG, you pretty much, if you're not playing Wizard, you have to run some sort of Scrubber or Paresia, or you're just not trashing things. By the way, don't know if you've played IG, if anyone's played IG recently or since like the last like 6 months, if you're not trashing anything, you're probably going to lose that game. Like at some point, the cards they have in play effectively you'll end up losing that game. So the runner needs a hoser a bit better, like that can be universal versus the corp. Where because the corp already has hidden information on their side, it leverages that a little bit. I think that's my opinion.
Corey, you have thoughts on that?
I kind of blanked out a little bit.
You got cerebral static?
Yeah, that's it. I just look like Kit in the picture, just sitting in the chair, staring off. Yeah. No. I mean, it's a good point. I do think also maybe if you look at the other way, that having some of these power cards focused in a faction will allow the runner to kind of see if they're more likely to encounter it, while having some of the same type of abilities in just neutrals, again, makes it harder for the corp to know if it's going to pop up. They have to kind of be on their toes a little bit more of like, did the runner pay 1 influence for employee strike? Were they willing to do that? It's less likely for a runner to be playing against, like Weyland and being like, oh, did this Weyland player pay 2 influence for cerebral static? Probably not. So maybe. That's random theory. Probably not accurate.
Yeah, I have no idea why they did it like this.
I think it's just a die roll, actually.
Spoonfunk and William Dennis sort of like added some input. They said, like, for example, William said, the runner abilities tend to be sort of generic. Like, here's some more MU. Here's some extra cards at the cost of discarding more cards. Here's, an additional link and like a discount on like how you install. Whereas Corp is very focused and powerful in most of their abilities. Like a Corp ability usually isn't very like a small, simple thing that lasts throughout the game. It's a very focused, high impact thing. So I have 4 cards in my discard pile. All cards cost you 4 more to trash. I draw a free extra card every turn, which seems not impactful, but obviously is like the most impactful, right? Because it's turning a click to do something progressive into an additional, like, I guess, click saver is crazy. So for that reason, the runner side has a card like Employer Strike that's neutral because it's important they can react to the corp as opposed to the corp necessarily being able to react to the runner. If you look at it, the circumstances where the corp actually reacts to the runner, it's pretty limited. Like, there's only like 2 decks I think you play cerebral static against, and most of the time that's what, like Max and Wizard, maybe Noise if it was still relevant. Like I don't think anytime I've ever played cerebral static versus Leela, I think it was a marginal benefit, or Kate.
Okay, what about the new ones coming?
Versus like Null, like
Omar.
Omar is going to be crazy to.
Oh yeah, Omar. Are we noticing a trend with how good it is versus Anarchs? Let's take a note of that. But yeah, like it feels like the number of runners that are affected by cerebral static, in like a great way, is less than the number of. Goodness gracious, the number of runners that are affected by cerebral static in a large way is less than the number of corps that are affected by Employer Strike comparatively, because Employer Strike shuts down like CI like gonna CI, CTM, engineering the future.
Employee strike is dangerous.
Yeah.
But cerebral static. I would love to play it in every deck. I would love to.
And all of them?
In all my corps, I would love to just be that guy that just blanks over the runner.
Nice.
Yeah, if cerebral static could be his ID ability, he'd be all over it. All right,
getting into HB. So, if I was ranking them right now, Jintekis, I think that cerebral static is better than clones are not people. Anybody want to flip that?
No.
No. No, thanks.
HB,
No,
defective brain chips is 2, 1 influence. The first time the runner takes brain damage each turn, he or she takes 1 additional brain damage. Corey?
Yeah. So this is a current that when it was released or spoiled, a lot of people had some really cool ideas and things you might be able to trigger this with. And then I think when it came out, people tried those ideas. And then you didn't see this current ever again.
People realize that it's still hard as F to drop some brain damage on somebody. It ain't happening all the time. And to drop brain damage while having this current still on the board is winning the lottery.
Yeah. There's a lot of pieces you need to have in order to make this land. Correctly. It's tough. Until you get that data mine for brain damage, I don't think you're going to have a pretty reliable way to land it. It's tough.
Even when the ID came out that lowered hand size, right? Cyber Solutions.
ET. There's other IDs.
Cybernetics division.
Cybernetics division.
Sorry.
Right, but even like in there, you had like the self-destruct chips, but those were just lower hand size. Those weren't dropping brain damage, right? So, I mean, you think that that would be the natural home, but it just wasn't as it didn't flush out, man. I tried like heck.
Yeah, it's tough. And it's one of those, maybe as future cards come out, there might be a place for it to show back up. But right now, I just think it's going to get overshadowed all the time by the next card we'll get to.
Yeah. I really think, though, that... Do you think that if brain damage was a little more fluid in the game, that this would be worth playing? Because but like thinking then, if brain damage is harder to land, if it still is hard but there's more brain damage options, this seems like a cheap way to get extra brain damage, right? Like this doesn't seem like it's balanced well compared to what brain damage can do.
Yeah, it's
I don't think it'll ever be played out of faction. So why it has a low influence cost is way beyond me, unless it's just like someone's laughing somewhere, right?
It's
like,
a tease, man. It's the tease. It wants you because maybe something will pop up in another faction that gives you an easy way to do brain damage. Maybe HP will have the exclusivity on brain damage.
Sometimes I use things like that as a clue to how powerful the card actually really is, and I hate to. Maybe that's not exactly the best way to do it, but to me, it's sort of it's an entertaining and fun way to kind of look at some of the card choices. Like, for example, if defective brain chips is 1 influence, you have to ask yourself, so why would they allow this card that lets me do a brain and take another, and like whenever my opponent takes a brain, take an additional brain, why would they let this be 1 influence? Well, it's either because A, there's a deck that really lends itself well to doing brain, which we haven't really seen that much of. It's pretty much so HB almost exclusively does brain damage, or B, it's because it's not that powerful, so having it at 1 influence is okay.
Yeah, and take that in your brain cage.
Yeah,
take your 2.
Yeah, like that. That's what to me. That's what it kind of comes down to, and I think brain damage in general just feels so hard to land. Like you kind of have to. There's only one card I can think of in Jinteki that I think this even makes like legit sense to, and it's, what is that card? It's kind of Cerebral Cass. where you play a side game to either make them take a tag or they take a brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see scenarios where you could set something weird up where you still run Scorch in that deck, and you're basically playing, look, either I Scorch you or you take additional brain, you choose. But even then, that doesn't even sound that fantastic.
Yeah,
like,
but I mean,
because what idea are you playing that out of?
Yeah,
Because now you're splashing an HP current. You now have the Jinteki operation, and if you're using Scorch, like
right, like what is life? I don't know what I'm doing.
but to me, it's like you got to look at all of the stars that have to align, right? Like, A, current still has to be in play. B, they have to run down, or like they have to, have that opportunity to play that card, and then B, picking like with the current on the table, and it's like, hey, do you want a tag or do you want this damage? Just give me the tag and I'll clear it.
Just give me the tag. Darn it, I don't have both Scorches. You got me.
Yeah.
I thought I had you.
I think it's really unfortunate that brain is not where it needs to be. It can still be a hard thing to land. I ain't knocking that, because it would be so out of whack if it wasn't. But I wish it was just more prevalent out there. Even like, like 2 or 3 more cards. Come on.
But I mean, runners are scared of brain, right? I mean, look at how people freaked out for that ID when there was the European Chronos protocol
plugged in.
Yeah, and they were just like, "Hey, here's a corp ID that lobotomies the runner if they take a brain damage."
No.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do?
Yeah. So.
All right.
It's tough. I don't think this card's This is not a very good current at all.
It's not in good shape right now.
No, definitely not.
So HB has to choose from an enhanced login protocol instead for their current. This is 2, same price, but it's 2 influence.
Yeah.
As an additional cost to make the first run not made through a card ability on his or her turn, the runner must spend a click. Well, this has been this up until a while ago was the best current that you could play.
Yep.
This was so good that we saw it out of faction most of the time in Replicating Perfection.
Yeah. It's still good in Replicating Perfection.
Yeah.
Some of those random like decks I've seen pop up. This is just a fantastic current, start to finish. And even though it's kind of fallen out of favor a little bit recently, I feel like this is going to start coming back up.
Do you think it would still be as good as if it went up in influence cost? Like, is that what a click is worth to the corporation, is 2 influence?
Well,
I don't know, but think about, I mean, let's say if you put it as just 1 click, but if this card sits on the table for a little while, like, you can get so much value out of it.
Yeah,
especially if you're playing like one of those like asset heavy decks or stuff like that. Like, it used to be like a runner would be like, I just want to go check that, but now I have to spend 2 clicks just to go see what it is, and then they hit it and it's like, oh, it's bad campaign. Then they're like, oh, cool, that was worth 2 clicks. And it's just, there's just so much you can get out of this current. It's just amazing.
Hollis, if it went up, would it still see the play it sees?
I mean,
or is it just balanced where it needs to be?
I think I honestly feel like this is very balanced. Okay, if it went up influence, I just don't see people splashing it. Period.
Correct. I think because of the condition on if it's through a run like a card ability, it ignores the current. I think that's where it allows it to sit at a lower cost and be fine.
Yeah.
Fair enough. There. Good catch.
But I will say. Oh no, good.
No, you got it.
Oh, I was gonna say. Can I cuss? Is that cool? This is the real talk right now.
Okay.
It's not the real talk, but just how I feel.
Just cut his mic once again.
This is, guys. This is such a fucking annoying current.
Yeah.
This current is so fucking annoying. I literally, if no one else is raging about this card in chat, like, you haven't played against it enough. It is so annoying. When Prepaid Kate was like the deck, and that was like the most common deck being played, it was almost whatever, because half of your runs, most of your runs were made using card abilities because of Maker's Eyes, the 1x legwork, so on and so forth, Dirty Laundries. So when you saw this, if this came in play, you knew you just kind of held those cards for to make the necessary runs, and then you levy it back and you redo it. But with with Prepaid Kate falling out of favor, and this card and this card still being a good consistent card in HB, it's just so fucking annoying to make runs with when this card's in play. I've been playing around with Noah's Chaos Theory deck, and I cannot tell you how annoying it is. Cannot tell you. I mean, it's so annoying to know that my entire concept of my turn is to utilize all these au revoirs, and I've got all this setup necessary, and then I'm going make a run, gain money, make a run, gain money, make a run, gain money. I even have Beth Kilrang Chang in the deck, I think it's her name, in the deck, just to gain the extra click when my opponent has heavy, a lot of econ. And taxing that first click, additionally, is so garbage. It is one of the most annoying things, because especially in a deck like that, it's a direct hit to my economy. It hurts it so much.
So you're upset you're only gaining 9 credits a turn as opposed to 12 credits a turn?
I'm only fam, what am I going to do if I only gain 9 instead of 12? I might as well just magnum opus. Because
might as well.
But when you look at it comparatively, right? I'm gaining, combining that, I would be gaining 8 instead of 9 in that, in that comparison, and I don't need 7 MU worth or 9 MU worth of cards to do it. and 6 other cards also. It's just
Hollis will be in Minnesota
Jeez.
in November, and if anyone would like to play this card against him and see him rage, there's your chance.
But I love it though. I don't get it twisted. I love this card. I wish HB decks played it more often.
Do you think it's funny? I think it's funny that it's not. I feel it's not being used for what it was created for. To sit inside a click intensive Bioroid deck.
Yeah, I mean,
Architects of Tomorrow, man. It's coming.
Wait,
But think about still, and I know this is beating a dead horse, but HB has all these lose a click things that like Strongbox and Ruhr Valley, all the Bioroids, the current here. You'd think that that something could come together and make some kind of click taxing build, but it can't.
Right. You could just put Caprice in your server.
Yeah, man. 1 and 1 is not equaling 2 here.
Yeah.
Great current. Obviously, if you're looking at HB, this one here is better than the brain. Let's check out what the next faction has, guys. Actually, are you happy? Do you think who's stronger so far, HB or Jinteki?
I'm gonna say Jinteki.
Yeah, I'm going to say Jinteki because I've actually seen both of those currents in decks.
Agreed, all round.
Yeah.
Getting into Weyland. This current is one of my favorite currents, but it has a timing issue with it. So this is housekeeping. This is 2 to play. It's 3 influence. So again, we're creeping up there. The first time the runner installs a card each turn, he or she must trash 1 card from his or her grip. I love it. I really, really like this card. This is one of those cards that, if played early enough, it just is going to eat you alive to try and get set up as a runner.
Yeah, it's a really cool current. It's one of those, it definitely lives in the early game. If you can get it online, like turn 1, turn 2, especially, I remember when this first came out, some of those, Kate setup decks and everything would then give a little bit of pause because they're like, I want to put this component down, but I don't want to actually lose, the next piece I need to get out on the board. So that's cool. It's a cute current.
It's cute. It's cute, though.
What would this do against cameras this day and age?
Be terrible. They would not have a good time.
Oh,
how many do you want to search through and install?
Cool, man. But it's only the first time. It's only the first time installation. So it is really okay.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's a cool current. It was priced up a little bit, and it is one of those that definitely you need to see early in order for it to feel like to have a really steady effect on the game. So that's probably just didn't see it played as much.
It's cool that it sits in Weyland. I mean, it's very thematic to be in there, I feel. I think that the issue that I face when looking at this current the most is I want to see it early, but very, very often do I really play 3 copies of currents. And normally that's what you do. If you want to see a card early enough, you got to put 3 copies of it, or 3x, as Hollis would say. 3x.
3x.
And I just don't see myself playing 3 copies of this current, but then if you put it in, and if you put 2 copies and you don't see it early enough, once the runner's set up, it's not going to do anything for you. And that's the downfall right there.
Yeah.
Is I really feel this can hurt you as deck space more than it can hurt the runner.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I feel similarly to this card as I do about a little bit as I do about Enhanced Login Protocol. Whereas I want Enhanced Login Protocol to come out pretty early in the game to really just slow down their aggression for running, possibly. Basically by slowing down their aggression, also prevent them from taking other actions on their turn, allow them to build their board state or gain credits or something like that, load Katie, whatever the case would be. Given that in the same way how a lot of times on the corp side, you're probably at most of the time, I think 70% of your turns are installing 1 card at a time, maybe. The exceptions to being that is normally like a piece of ice and then like an asset or agenda or upgrade, something like that. It really just depends on the deck, really. And I like that on the flip side, the runner pretty much only installs 1 card per turn unless they have like a combo that comes out immediately. A lot of times you'll see I install my Code Gate Breaker and then I will gain money and draw a card or make a run. And then I'll install SMC and gain some money and then install my install Proco and install SMC. Where even though that's 2 cards, the fact remains is they're still losing a card in their hand. So when they install Proco, they could lose the SMC. So I don't know. I agree with Jameson. I love this card. I wish, to me, like I said, it was similar to Enhanced Login Protocol. I just wish it was played more. But I understand the deck space is tight, guys. It's tight. It's difficult these days.
And if we look at the compares again, I draw a comparison to Hacktivist.
Yeah.
Right? And that one, played any time, it just does so much more damage, right? So
holy crap.
Why are Anarch currents so good?
I don't know.
Anyway, that's next episode.
Next.
We'll rage about that later.
Can we invite FFG on so we can talk about Anarch's?
Yeah.
Can we just have an episode about Anarchs? How about that?
Yeah.
Moving into one, we got the cheapest current that we've seen so far. This is paywall implementation. This is 0 to play, and it is 2 influence. Gain a credit whenever the runner makes a successful run.
I love this current.
Very interesting.
I love this current. I played this current so much when it came out, and there's just a lot of decks that anytime if I play a deck that does servers, in my mind it's always like, can I fit this current in? And it's so good. Like, there's a variation of Soul. I was recommended to play this as a current in Soul, and it was awesome because you could keep it out almost the whole time, and you're just constantly making money. Just free money, man. It's so good.
It's free. It's free money.
What's interesting is like you say that it's so good, and then you say the first thing is like I play it out of faction, right? Because so do you think this card was weighted the way it is to be pulled out of faction then? Because Weyland doesn't need to make money. So
right, but it's really good in Gagarin, right? Because think of the swing. Because every time they run a remote, it's like a 2-credit swing.
Yeah.
Because they're paying to access if they want to see it, and then you're making a credit for the successful run.
Yeah.
So there's some really good synergy they had with Bad ID in this current. It's good, man.
I just feel like it's not needed. I just feel like they don't need the benefit of this as much as other people rely on their currents.
Melly Chris made a comment too with Temujin being a thing now. Paywall's gotten a little bit more of a bump
because you know the current runner's just going to be like running to like milk it. You have that, at least you can make some money off of their runs.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool current. Like it's free to play. It is 2 influence, so it keeps it from being like an easy splash out of faction. But it can be worthwhile if you play a deck that you feel like you'll have enough targets and be able to keep it out long enough to justify having it.
I think the reason why it's also not played as often is because a lot of the currents, as we've already seen, are very high impact. And in general, you may notice in Netrunner, a lot of people love to play the really high impact cards. An example to me of a card that's low impact that I personally am a fan of is Indian Union Stock Exchange. I feel like in Weyland the card is actually, I think it's good, but the low impact of the slow credit drip for playing other cards isn't as impactful as the high risk, high reward of Commercial Bankers Group or something like that. So a lot of people opt to play the high impact cards with more risk just because if they leverage that advantage and they win out, they're gaining way, way more comparatively, I guess. But I like this current too. Man, I like so many of these current. What's happening, guys?
Desperado was 3 influence. So,
yeah.
I mean, is this where the corporation gets their break?
Just so.
Right? Because now they can splash paywall in any deck they want for cheaper.
It's now on the watch list.
It's not.
Man.
Cool.
Yeah,
I believe that's all the Weyland currents. Which one are you taking the best?
Paywall. I'm voting paywall.
Oh, you're voting paywall? What?
Yeah, man. I played paywall a lot more than I've ever played housekeeping. I will vote for what I know. That
probably will be true, but I really like housekeeping as a card over paywall more.
That's cool. I think that's it's a more fun card. Let's say funner. It's a more fun card, but paywall.
And I was still my order for strength of corporation currents has not changed. I'll slot the Weyland ones at the bottom.
Yeah,
their favorite spot.
just going back for a quick second.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think would make housekeeping nuts?
What's that?
If the card the runner trashed was random. Because the thing with housekeeping is that the runner gets to choose. If housekeeping said the first time the runner installs a card each turn, he or she must trash 1 card at random from his or her grip, that would be insane. That would be sick.
Is that a 4 influence current?
No, it's probably a 3 cost current. It's probably because fitting their style, the best currents cost 3, right?
Yeah.
So that is probably a 3 cost, and yeah, that's pretty sick. Making it random just makes the power level so much higher. Holy crap!
All right, now we will see if quantity can be quality as we get into NBN currents, because for some reason we have a plethora. That's the word of the day. A plethora of NBN currents coming out of our yin-yangs, people.
It's so weird that NBN would get more of something than another faction.
No idea.
That's so strange.
Manhunt's up first. It's a 3 cost, 3 influence. The first time the runner makes a successful run, each turn, trace 2. If successful, tag them.
It's expensive.
No.
It's expensive. I'm not gonna say it's bad. It's good in decks that can be geared to fuel it, but it is expensive.
Yep, 100% agree. This is a hefty cost to do something that NBN really doesn't have an issue with right now. Look at those controlling the message. If anyone has played against that, and you're not Scrooge McDuck swimming in your tags at the end of this thing, it will honestly blow my mind. I think this was cool when it came out, and we saw a couple decks used it more as a tax. But going forward, I think you're going to see Link a little more prevalent, and that's going to just bump this current right out. And sitting at a cost of 3 at 3 influence,
Yeah. No.
Gosh,
not a huge fan, but
yeah, And what's so sad is that, like, I think that this card, like, we do this all the time where we talk about, like, an existing card and we compare it to, like, the meta in stages as the game has been out. And we go back in time and say, man, it would be great if this card came out around this time, or this mechanic was out at this time. Could you imagine if Manhunt was the first current of its time, and it was made in that midpoint where we had like NEH first hit, but we had making news, and this was an active card that was out at the time. Actually, was it? I'm scared now. Was it? I don't think so.
It came out in First Contact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So no. Okay. So in NEH, sorry, you know what pack NEH was?
I think it was in the, because this is not a seer on the card art.
Okay.
For Manhunt.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is. Oh.
Yeah, with that cop.
I've never
with the
noticed that. What?
Really weird hat.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I feel like in a world where, you know, like, making news could somehow still be a deck if that's viable. Manhunt's really interesting. I think that it's fine in CTM, but, like, obviously runners nowadays, like, still the most popular runners are, you know, have a link. A lot of the time, or a bad pub, so it's just not as good.
Yeah, reprint this card with a trace of 3, then let's talk.
Yeah.
That would be nuts. Yeah, holy crap.
4 would be ridiculous. 4.
Please don't do that. Please don't.
If we ever play Corey in real life, you're gonna see a little daub of whiteout over that, and then a Sharpie 3.
Right. I'm gonna be like, what?
I'm like, a Manhunt trace 3. You're like, okay, I guess so.
Yeah. Seems like bullshit.
We've already said that 4 is too much. 4 is a crazy trace, but for what you're getting here, you're paying 3 credits. It's 3 influence. Probably won't be used out of faction.
Yeah.
Tracing at 2, you're just kind of pinpricking, and I don't want to do that right now.
Yeah.
Rolling into the next one, Media Blitz. I believe this was just turned into a playmat too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
This is a 2 cost, 3 influence again. Choose an agenda in the runner's score area. Media Blitz gains the text of that agenda.
So, this is a pretty cool current for the fact that you saw some pretty interesting uses for it.
Yeah,
I think one of my favorite decks I ever saw that ran this was the Philotic, like, single point agendas that would get the Philotic out early and then Media Blitz off the Philotic and kill the runner. It was pretty cool. It was a cool deck.
What about mandatory upgrades?
Yeah, I remember when those were the thing, because they would just, like, mooshin it, and you would take the gamble of whether it's mandatory upgrades or the cerebral.
Yeah.
And so either you steal it, and then they just Media Blitz it, or whatever. And
and then they get the click anyway, right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Those dirty so-and-sos.
I mean, I don't want to talk about it, guys.
Yeah.
You got to talk about it.
You got,
this card.
that's why you're here.
Like,
but,
so someone put a list, like, looking at the Netrunner DB page for it. Someone put a list of cards that it works with. But I'm going to be honest. Most of these cards I haven't seen in play in a pretty long time.
So,
Like,
it's important that you can Media Blitz the government takeover, all right? You're going to have that window.
Or
Take advantage of it.
or improve tracers, or medical breakthrough. Like, what? Or restructure data pool. Like, all of these things seem like the majority of these cards seem not very good.
Yeah, but here's the cool thing about Media Blitz is it does have really good potential, because if you see agendas that has a cool ability on, like, a 5/3, and people love scoring 5/3s in this game,
This is true.
you could just be like, well, you know what, I'll play with it. If it gets stolen, this card gives me the ability to still utilize the effect off the card to trigger it. And so,
yeah, for this much amount of time, man.
correct. But it does give you a unique way to play around with those cards. Of, I mean, I necessarily need to score it. Maybe if I need to trigger the ability, I can let the runner score it for me. And I mean, you've seen like a better version of this with like exchange of information, which is really taking like that thought process to a much more effective direction. But yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, like for those abilities, this is doing something different than what exchange of information can do, in a little bit of a sense. But I don't really know. I don't think Media Blitz has seen its day.
Yeah.
But it's so hingy on the agendas that's coming, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the good thing about this is that the agendas that you put into your deck are in your control. You know, so if there is something that becomes powerful, that if gets stolen, you still want to be able to trigger, it's there for you. Hopefully, that's going to be an NBN, because at 3 influence, this is a whopper.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't feel comfortable myself playing something like this as a one of. I like, if you're gonna play currents, I really do like 2 currents. And to pull 6 influence out of like use up 6 influence.
Yeah.
On just a current. What?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty it's hefty. And I mean, like, this, you have to kind of be all in on that strategy. Like,
yeah, exactly, man. Good point.
You got to be all in. Like, you can't just run a 1x media blitz, because I mean, if the runner scores an agenda, it's over, right? So like, you can't just be all in a media blitz like a 1x and then be, have a strategy that's like, oh, got him, I got the restricted data pool. Like, you can't. It's just not reliable enough. You can't have a mandatory upgrades as like a 2 or 3 ags and have a 1x media blitz, because it's much harder for you to replay that current and get a huge benefit out of it. So I mean, you got to run 2x. So 6 of your influence automatically go towards media blitz or more. And when you look at it that way, there's a lot of really good things you can spend influence on. And I don't know if I want 6 of it to be on media blitz.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So Hollis, would you rate this great current or greatest current?
Why would you make me choose like the best and almost the best? That's horrible. Yeah, would not play. Would not. I don't even. I played against a combo deck that used this at Worlds, and while the deck was interesting, I think you just couldn't find the pieces in time. And to me, that is like the biggest worry. If you can't find the media blitz and your deck is using a pretty much non-scoreable agenda, like mandatory upgrades, yeah, like that there's a problem, there, because like you can't even just score the agenda regularly.
Yeah,
it's not good.
I've played against a couple of those where you're like, I see what you're doing there, and that's pretty cool. That's also a Hail Mary to try and get that to connect.
Yeah.
Predictive algorithm is the next lovely NBN current. It's
Bad.
zero 1 influence. As an additional cost to steal an agenda, the runner must pay 2 credits.
Yep, that's current.
I mean,
that's a current though.
Hey, I like this current. I like this current, and I'm surprised it doesn't get used as much.
I think the only deck that I saw use this current effectively was like the CTM, like 54 card grind that just cycles closed accounts over and over against you to not let you get any money, to be able to afford the 2 credits of predictive algorithms to be able to steal anything. Those decks are really painful and obnoxious to play against, because they're almost like the IG of NBN. If you've not played against one, you're lucky. It's fantastic. But that's it. That's like the only time I've ever seen this card be a thing. And I think maybe like the time it came out too, Film Critic was also kind of like ramping up, and so the extra cost ability didn't matter because they would just be like, oh, whatever, I'll just Film Critic. I don't care about your extra costs and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, what about are you surprised that Gagarin isn't using it? Because then you're talking about like looking at 3 extra credits there, right? Like 1 to access, 2 to steal.
That doesn't seem bad. I think maybe the decision there is whether they would want to pay the influence for this or they want to play with paywall and faction.
Yeah.
And I think most of the time they're going to choose to play paywall and faction.
Now, people should be picking this. They should be running NAPDs in Gagarin with predictive algorithm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And look,
Yeah.
Hey,
Look, I see some wheels are turning inside.
yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
oh.
Sorry, I'm trying to take that and then still trying to figure out what's going on in this card art because it is some of the craziest card art.
Yeah,
I've
I
ever
don't-
seen.
I'm
I
not
think it's
sure
like
what's
a,
happening.
It's like a slug that's like got something on it.
Well, it's clearly it's a person. Like you see the person, right, with the multiple arms.
No, but it's a slug on the bottom.
Is it?
You got to look at the whole picture. You got to look at the unrestricted.
That would be the uncut. Wait,
Is it-
so we
wait,
need this.
slug?
We need this to be in a championship deck, so we can get the full art version next
Oh,
year.
Yeah, I
look at Chris in the chat, right? Predictive algorithm with red herrings on an NAPD. Boom, 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 boom. Come on.
I mean, but okay, if we're gonna be totally straightforward, if paying 4 and then paying 5 is not enough to tax the runner to not steal it, look, they earned it. Damn it! Like, give them the agenda.
hey,
like,
we're in the faction of money, man.
like if they're
Or
paying
the cycle.
4,
This flashpoint cycle. People are getting money all over the
I
place.
know they're balling out of
goodness
control.
gracious. Yeah, they are. Yeah, especially criminal. Right? But
Anyway,
in my opinion, if they're paying 4 and 5 to steal an agenda, I think they got the other 2 also. They probably have the other 2.
yeah.
Surveillance sweep.
Uh,
Hey, this is 2 to play. It's 3 influence.
Oh boy, I can't wait.
The runner must spend credits first for each trace during a run.
So I actually think this is deceptively awesome. I'm serious. I
Really?
think
Because
so.
then I've been deceived. Someone has pulled the wool over
So-
this guy's eyes.
So I want to make it clear.
I've been
So,
duped.
I don't think it's good. But there is something deceptively interesting about. Here's the thing: when I make a run as the runner, and I know that a trace is going to be involved, probably before I made the run, I've already in my head gone. If there's an ash trace here, as an example, if there's an ash trace, I am 100% paying it, or I'm 100% not paying it regardless. Or if there's any trace, I'm 100% paying it, or 100% paying it, or not paying it regardless. The biggest benefit here is that this is really good for cards that have a small trace cost, like Itchy. Like, Itchy has at trace 1. And because it's corp, I have to increase first. I have to go like, I don't really know. Nah, if I pay 3 into this, you're just going to pay it. It doesn't matter. So, knowing that the corp or the runner can go, oh, wait, trace 1? You know what? I guess I have to pay first. I think I'll pay 4 so you don't make me take a brain and a tag as my last click. And then I'm like, you made a mistake. I'm boosting it by 4, got you. Like, I mean, I don't know. The card is interesting. I think that if traces were more impactful in Netrunner, the requirement to make the runner pay first is very, very strong. I don't think there's enough impactful traces that aren't tags.
So
Like, I think most of the time it's trace tag.
the weird part I have about this is that, yeah, like like you're saying, Hollis, what am I doing tracing an NBN is most of the time I'm trying to trace for that tag.
Yeah.
3, all the cool traces come outside, right? Like, look at the traces that you can pull off on some of the neutrals, right? Say the assassin, or what HB can do with some of those Bioroid traces, right? If they don't click it.
Right.
But spending 3 to move this out
Yeah.
on the hopes too that the credit pools are so close.
Yeah.
I
Right,
do like that chat brought up how funny this card is against Nexus, Security Nexus, though. Because they fire it, and then you're like, okay, how much do you want to pump into your Security Nexus? to jump past this, and then makes the runner have to invest in before the corp, and the corp be like, nah, man, I'm good. You got it. You got past that ice. Good on you. Yeah.
You got me.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably fun to turn the tables a bit, but I really don't see... I just don't see it.
It is restrictive because it is only during a run that its ability fires. And it's one of those that, like, this is a card that could get better. You know, as we see more and more ice come out in the game, and you might see some other things that utilize different trace effects mid-run, the power of this current could go up. Right now, I feel like there's better options in faction.
Yeah, because you have to bring things into NBN, and those things that you bring in just don't fit the flow of NBN.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, surveillance sweep.
Sorry, surveillance sweep. Yeah, get it out of here. Get that garbage out of here.
Get it out. Targeted marketing. Hey, this is free to play. Hey,
But is it free though?
Hey, it's one influence.
Is it free though?
Name a card. Gain 10 credits whenever the runner plays or installs a copy of that card.
I got it. Siphon.
Yeah, this is
so
the one
good.
that everybody played the most probably here.
I think one of my favorite interactions I ever had with this card was only due to the runner for some reason misinterpreting how the card worked, because they siphoned me after I named it, and I was like, I'll take 10 credits. And then they siphoned me again, and I was just like, I'll take 10 more credits. You're like, oh, I thought it was just the first time. And I was like, no, it's every time you play that card. No. It's a great card. It's also a fantastic card with soul. If you haven't tried it, give it a whirl.
Give it a whirl.
Good time.
I think this is a great card. I think it sits very nicely in NBN. The only problem I have with this card is the learning curve. Is I feel that if somebody is coming into the game, there's no way that they could play targeted marketing. You really have to know the architect style of deck you're playing against. Only disadvantage of this card.
Yeah, it definitely favors the experienced player who's also can see a couple cards in the opponent's deck and get a good idea of what they're playing, what they're trying to do, and know what to name.
It also allows for like a really sort of excuse me. It also allows for a really sort of like what happened
in the chat? Hilarious versus spy cam.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
funny.
I named Spycam. Well, I'm installing 6 of them. I guess I just gained 60 then. I mean, I don't know. I don't even
carry 60 credits with me
Yeah.
to the table.
No, it's just over.
Sorry, say your piece there, Hollis.
Oh no, I also kind of like in the same vein you guys were talking about how it requires like a knowledge of like the card pool to really be super effective. Like what I really like is it also has some like that same opposite effect for like a local player that like plays their friend and they're getting into the game. Like let's say Corey and I are kind of new to the game, and Corey loves Jinteki, and damn it, Corey, every time you're playing. I don't know. Every time you influence architect in your deck, I'm so tired of it. And so I can, for one influence, I can import this in my deck and go. Even if we only play with play decks against each other, I can be like, all right, Corey, architect.
What are you talking about?
Not architect. I'm sorry, like Gordian Blade or sorry, Gordian Blade or any runner card like Maker's Eye. Corey, I'm so mad that every time I play against you, you always influence this card in your deck like Maker's Eye. I'm like,
For a while, I was just like, why is the runner playing architect?
But yeah, this is my thing. Like I consider corp cards when I play a corp card.
Yeah.
But like
I think architect just subconsciously follows you everywhere. It's
Everywhere.
just like looming over you.
well, because it doesn't leave play. It doesn't leave your brain.
Hey,
So,
as a side note, Corey, you ever played in a draft that Hollis made the cube for? Oh, it's ridiculous.
I I had to draft this architect. I don't know why it was there, but
to be fair, I've never fucked up a cube. But no, I mean, but that's I like that. I like that. I like it when like there's pet cards that you can really use for like your specific opponent. When like it's not just like at the highest level of competitive play. You have a casual player that you have, yeah, right.
My runner hand looks like this, right?
Hey, wait. What's the corp card though?
Oh, it's the HB.
Oh, it's really bad.
Agendas, yeah, profiles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I like it for both those reasons. I think that it's really good because on the highest level of play, you need to be aware of like archetypes, things like that. And then just in casual play, you can just use it to hose your opponent a bit and get a huge advantage. To where now they're switching up strategy. You guys switch your strategy up. It's just really neat. I like this stuff. It's fun.
Where are you putting? So talk about the NBN currents. What's the best one? Is targeted marketing the best?
yes.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you got to stand firm, Haas. Yes.
Yeah, it's the best. The other ones are so bad. Like the other ones are just so garbage. They're so bad.
Yeah. I mean, I think it goes like targeted marketing and then kind of like everything else mushed in some kind of zoodle suit.
All right. So where we go to now in our
Oh.
adventures through current land?
Hey, we're at neutrals.
All right.
Hey, we made it. Well,
Lag time. They actually printed a neutral here with no influence. It's 2 to play though. All ice has +1 strength.
Yep.
I mean, I think reading this card.
Corey.
What?
Corey, you read it and Corey went, "Yep."
Yeah. That's card.
I think reading this card, you think that on paper it sounds good, and that it's gonna be that bump you need. But it.
It's it was fun to mess with Ottoman players
Yeah,
for a short period of time.
take the baton and run. I'm too beside myself to talk about lag time.
Yeah, but that's really it. And yeah, it's called like David is a big problem because now this current is more likely to turn on more piece of ice for that program just to run right through.
If this card, if currents came out 2 cycles before or whatever it was, when all code gates were 3 and people were yogging everything, I think it'd be cool. There would have been more. There would have been more of a necessity to bump that ice strength, right? It would have made everything hold on the board a little more against the parasites. It would have, like I said, messed over Yogg. When Mimic was everywhere, it would have forced people to make different choices with Mimic. But unfortunately, currently, haha, it ain't doing anything. slow clap that one.
In the chat, was it Chris? Let me double check. Sorry, no, in the I lost it. They mentioned David. No, yeah, in chat, William Dennis made a good point. He said the fact that David exists made the time this card came out very awkward. Because if you're at 4 and you bump to 5, well, now you're in David range. And when you were at 3 and you bump to 4, while that's good, the question is, what is your opponent using that you get out of the range of? And most of the time that's Yogg and Mimic. But the alternative is they have Data Sucker and cards like that help.
And I guess at that time, too, people just put an Atman down at 4. So it was like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, right?
Yeah. I wish instead this current kind of did what like an operation does for like HB. I wish instead of a +1 strength, it did something like add a subroutine that did something else. Like even something just as simple as all ice have all ice, or I guess ice on a server, or whatever the case was, have an added subroutine of like do 1 net damage or do 1 meat damage, or because at the very least then you enhance a strategy.
What about Hollis? Is it broken at +2 strength?
Damn, that's stern though. Like that's what's weird about strength in this game. Like a +1 strength is like it could be useless depending on like your opponent's board state. A +2 strength could be busted because then that means you have cards like Lotus Field, which are at 6, which does a lot because it puts it outside the range of like Refractor with 1 stealth. You have cards like that are kind of that are very strong, like Crick on Archives, but all of a sudden it becomes an 8 strength on Archives. Like what? So it's 8 strength. I'm absolutely gonna install a card because you're not gonna use a Gordian Blade on that, like at all. There's no way you're gonna do that.
The hell I won't.
Yeah, but like now the biggest.
I'll
benefit,
show you.
The biggest benefit is that like anything that was 3 strength, so Victor 1s, things like that, they do become David targets, but maybe David gets overtaxed because there's so many cards to break. But I think it's the opposite. I think if this had been +2, instead of David getting overtaxed, David just would have been a higher priority in decks. So you would run a 3x David and clone chips to make sure you have them all the time.
Do you feel like you would have been taxing the runner enough, though, because they're cloning back multiple Davids all the time, though? You would be burning through David counters like there ain't no tomorrow.
That's true. I don't know. I don't know if I would be necessarily overtaxing the runner. To an extent, though, there's a balance there because rather than paying the 4 to 5 credits per ice to get through, instead I'm paying 3 credits just for David.
Yeah.
So it's possible I could break even, or it's possible I could spend a little more. I don't know.
I think that pushes David too far, though, into being like too relied upon. Because when you jack the ice up that much, I mean, look at like Sandberg right now, right? So Sandberg is one of those cards when it's out, it affects everything.
Yeah.
And look at like even for the short time that can be active, and then how maddening that is for a runner to sit there and try to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Is there another neutral current?
No, well, I was just about to say, Hollis, if you were to rank all the neutral currents, which one would be number 1 for you?
Lag time.
Lag time would be
Greatest neutral current.
It would be in last. It would be in last.
So a different question then for lag time. So you're saying adding 2 strength, broken, can't do it. Like not even if we put on some influence and stuff like that. So keep it at 1. What if you flipped it all together and said, what if it was all ice is -1 cost to res?
Oh, that's neat. That's neat.
Would that have been too broken?
I don't think that's too broken. That's interesting. That encourages the runner to run quickly. Because in their head they're like, oh shit, you're going to keep getting a discount for resing all ice. No. I'm going to focus on a server. I'm going to score a Jinteki and get this out of here. That's interesting to me.
Cool.
Is FFG listening?
Yeah.
FFG listening?
They can if they are, they have that one for free.
Generosity.
I bet you'll trade
is it a...
Yeah, so now's the time that if you are...
Sneak peek.
Yeah. We're going to talk about 2 currents that have been spoiled. So if you would like to tune out, all you have to do is click the thumb in this video, and it will automatically shut off. All right, click the thumb and then close the window. So spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Going forward, just kind of giving you guys time because we're serious here.
Yeah. So
care about those who want to stay in the shadows.
I'm moving on. So these are 2 that have not been released yet. Door to door. This is 3 to play, 2 influence. When the runner's turn begins, trace 1. If successful, do 1 meat damage if the runner is tagged. Otherwise, give the runner 1 tag. This card is what Manhunt probably should have been.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, because it gives you another effect of the runner's tag. The only thing is, again, like trace 1. Oh, expensive.
Yeah, but think about comparing it to Manhunt, which is 3 cost the same, 3 influence. It's a trace 2 for a tag.
Yeah, and it's just a tag.
And yeah, interesting. Door to door is an intriguing current to see what decks and stuff might be able to utilize it, or if they'll be able to do it. It still, to me, seems like it falls in a expensive range, but I mean, it's in Weyland, so they are a faction that has money, and so there could be IDs that just funnel up on so much cash, I don't even care that it's fine. And then if you see some of the meat damage stat cards, could actually make it where it's worthwhile. Because you've got like the cleaners that increases the amount of meat damage you take. Isn't there... What was that 3-1 that just came out this cycle? Doesn't that have something else that synergizes off meat damage or does something else?
Oh, yeah. There's a... hold on. I got it. It says... No, I don't got it.
Oh. Anyway, but yeah, cleaners is something I can immediately see that it can synergize with.
Crisis management.
There you go. What does that do anything for this card?
3-1 agenda. If the runner is tagged, crisis management gains when your turn begins. Do 1 meat damage.
There you go.
So
that's something else.
It's a way to tag in faction.
So I think if you can line enough of those up, then absolutely this card can become a nightmare. Especially if you're sitting on money and you're keeping the runner low, or they're already trying to race you on money to not be in like tag murder range.
I'm surprised you haven't said anything about the art.
I mean, it looks like the cover of a Rainbow Six game.
Yeah.
Jesus.
This card brought to you by Tom Clancy. It also is interesting. I do think this card can also be cool. An interesting way to res off a. Well, you could res the Zealous Judge off of this too, because if they take the tag, you can be like, "Cool, here's the judge," and now they've like created more problems for themselves. I don't know. It's got some interesting little things you can play around with.
I'm not too sure. I mean, looking at this card and looking at spoilers, this is just us throwing out some first impressions and stuff like that. But it's going to depend on what the rest of the cycle obviously flakes out. Hollis, what do you think here with door to door?
I think that the trace 1 is really low, but I also think that in general the ability to keep the to try to keep the runner tagged, start them off on the turn with the tag, can be pretty heavy. If you recall, there's a card that I've seen used in some of the CTM decks, City Surveillance. So that card basically says the runner pays 1, or they take a tag.
Yeah, at the start. I think it's like a start of a turn or something like that.
Right, and this feels sort of similar to that, where it's like, all right, so it's trace 1, so pay 1 or more, and take it. Either do 1 meat damage, and if you're tagged or you're not tagged, that's fine. So either pay 1 or more, or take another tag. And what I like about this is just that Weyland doesn't have a lot of tools. Like right now, the main tool that helps them like tag. There's 3 really that come to mind in my head. Like, right, there's Zealous Judge, which already requires a tag to even res it. And then there's, what's the agenda? The 3-1 posted bounty. Which means you have to forfeit that to be able to give the runner the tag. And I feel like as Weyland gets more and more tools to be creative with how they tag and how they do meat damage, we're getting closer to that very scary, lethal scenario that we haven't really had for a long time, primarily because Weyland has not really been the greatest, right? As far as eyes, things like that. But I mean, anyway, back to door. I feel like trace 1, while low, Weyland has a ton of economy. Blue Sun, cards like the IDs like Blue Sun, they gain so much money so quickly. I feel like they can really take advantage of this card and force the runner to make some kind of bad decisions early. Like, hey, I'm going to do a trace 3. Do you want to pay the 3, or do you want to take the tag? Like, what's most important on your turn right now? And that's pretty good. I think it's pretty good.
I think this card is weighted appropriately. How useful it is, that I'm not too sure about. But I do feel that the trace 1, even though it is low, you have to think what it's doing. Like, you're essentially just being able to pay for damage. And it depends, like, can you imagine the state of the game? Like, how much would you pay if they had no cards in hand? Right? Like, if this was like a game over situation, right? Like, you don't want that trace to already be sitting at like trace 5, and you're like, well, I only got to put 5 more in, and you can't touch it, right? Like, I think it's balanced well enough that if you need to do that meat damage, well, you got to pay for that.
I mean, I do see someone in chat bring up actually interesting use of the card is you can almost use it like a C-source replacement, because the runner doesn't even need to have to do a run to trigger this. If you just have a lot of money, then you just drop it into your turn, and then try to land it. It's okay. The runner can still clear it, though. That's the thing. But if you do it and you can res the Zealous Judge when they take the tag, then you create some awkward situations and stuff for the runner. It's an interesting card. Again, when we see more of what Weyland has coming out in this cycle, we might have some other things that play off of it. So I'm going to reserve complete judgment, but I also want to get hit by this card. I want someone to play it against me in a game, and then I can see from the runner's side like whether I felt like it's just really bothering me or whether it was a nightmare to play against.
Word.
Next up is the neutral that got spoiled out. Scarcity of resources. It's 1 to play. It is no influence at all. The install cost of each resource is increased by 2.
This card is awesome.
Yep. Yeah, boy.
This one has teeth.
Do you think we're still sitting in a resource-heavy meta?
So,
I mean, look at cards right now that are already like blowing up. So Beth, right?
Yeah.
Beth's been showing up. Temujin, right? People have been loving the hell out of that card. Then you've got like your supporting cast. I mean, even look at like a daily cast. Like, daily cast sucks at 5. Like, you don't get excited about that. Liberated for 8? Get out of here. Get out. Throw that card in the trash.
How much is daily cast for you? Because I've been supplying that since day one. Since day one, man. Supplier.
Yeah. How much did you pay to put that supplier out? Anyway,
I just snuck them out there.
Yeah, but I mean, look at like same old thing isn't even free at this point. Like,
you gotta pay to play, fam?
Yeah, like there's a lot of cards that definitely are almost like staples. Even if you don't build like a resource heavy deck, there's resources that almost make it every runner deck that it will impact. And this is a game about credit management. At the end of the day, it's all economy, and to be able to impact that on the runners can be pretty brutal. Now, granted, this card has to be seen late game, right? Or early game, excuse me. Has to be seen early game to really have an impact. If you don't see any of these in like the first part of the game, some decks could set up too fast that it can, it's too late.
And runners are splitting to where they're basically either going to like absorb tags, or they're going to be very careful with how they choose their resource, economy and card drawing engines. If you look at Dan's deck in particular, like the Hinkies IG deck, Chris Hinkies IG deck, what you'll see, or not IG, oh my god, I keep doing this. So no, Dan's...
Hollis only wants to play Corp.
I only want to play Corp. No.
He never wants to run.
Dan's max deck, his max DLR deck, right? Like, there's so many resources in that deck. Does it get slower when Genetics Pavilion costs 3? When all Fall Guys cost 2? When Simple Things cost 2? When Joshua B's cost 3? All those things make a difference. They start to add up after a while. And so whereas, you would play 1 or 2 resources, per turn to, get everything up and running, it takes more economy now to do this. There's something really scary about it. I don't know.
Is this overweighted? Is this card not balanced, do you think?
No, I mean, I feel like this card has like a window, right? Like it has a window where it's good. And if you don't see the card in that window, then it's just depending on how many you play, they're just dead cards.
So do you think it's because it's a current then that you can get away with it? Like if this was an asset or something that you rezzed in a server, would it be weaker? Would it be not played as much?
Well, didn't they try something like that with was that student loans? Like, granted, it didn't do the same effect, but it was a card that like tried to increase the cost of stuff the runners did, and because it was an asset, you can never really keep it out. And I think scarcity, having this out, granted, it makes the runner have to have particular tools to get rid of it. Like, they have to play a current to clear it. They want to find an agenda to get rid of it, or they just have to deal with it and eat the extra costs for all their stuff.
Word.
Because let's look at the balance of the swing of things, or how far we've come. You play this card down because it's a current, and it punishes the runner. Corey, that's correct for you and me. I don't know if that's true for Hollis.
Well,
It just mean you're getting your corp and runner mixed around all day. So you don't know who this is punishing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, but
where I'm going with this is that, look, let's hop in the Wayback Playback machine and look at a card like Donut, where Donut was a resource, you dropped it down, and for some reason, it punished both of us.
Yeah.
Punished the corporation, and it punished the runner by increasing operations and events by 1. So why the change now? Just because, like I say, just because it's a current?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It's weird. I think also because this could give corps like a really good current that they can always splash to give them something that they can play to clear like employee strikes or to get rid of like the rumor mills.
You don't want to answer the Donut question.
I don't want to answer the Donut question. It's Donut. I've seen him played once.
But is that the reason why? Do you think Donut would have been played more if he was just I'm just going to punish the corporation? Like, do you think they've learned from that? Like, Donut printed, they put it out there, and they're like, hey, I don't want to tax myself the same way that I'm taxing the other player.
Yeah, because I think like Donut forced the runner to have to think about like taking a lot of events out of their deck, right? So they had to think about changing the composition of their deck in order to play this one card.
Yeah.
And so I think if they made something that was a little bit more universal, of course it's going to see a lot more play because you don't have to cut out your tools in order to be able to make this card hopefully impact the other person.
Hollis, is this scarcity of resources going to be pretty much everywhere?
I think honestly that really just depends on like what everyone's switching to in the meta. I know that the CT au revoir deck was really popular, and it doesn't really run that many resources. Like I think Turning Wheel and Beth's Kill Ring Chang as far as like that inclusion, cards like Councilman, those are the newest things. But that's very resource light. If the meta switches to a way that it's very resource heavy, to where, like I said, DLR max, where they've got 5 and 6 resources they're going to play out. They're going to play 2 or 3 of them on turn 1, 2 or 3 of them on turn 2, and so on and so forth continuously. Yeah, this card becomes ridiculous because, I mean, it costs you a click and a credit to make sure they pay 2 credits every time they install a resource. And we've already gone down the list. Like, there's a lot of resources that are very cheap that are going to get super taxed, that make them nigh unplayable. Are you going to pay 7 for your Proco?
Oh shit! I don't even pay 5 for it.
Yeah, it's like, are you gonna pay 7 for Proco? Like, it's a very good card, so you'll probably still want it, but you will pay 7 first. That's pretty rough. That's a hard sell. You'd have to convince me. I'd be like, you know what? I think I'll just draw regularly and save my 7 credits. Thanks.
For me, I really, really like this card. I think Corey touched on some of the breakdown of what resources are. I think you're always going to see some resources in a deck. Anytime you can do that is great. So you got the punch of taxing the other player, and you have the ability to clear currents for so cheap. I think this card at 1. There's other currents out there that aren't weighted this good.
Yeah.
True.
No influence. I'm really surprised at that.
Right.
Yeah. That's true.
That's
Like,
breaking the mold from what we've seen in the past. Yeah. All right, let's wrap things up quick with some just overviews of what we've seen here. Then, Hollis, you got a favorite? Favorite?
Yes,
yeah.
of course.
So,
Of course.
So we all in agreement with Weyland and the neutrals and stuff like that. Is Jinteki still got the best currents? Wait, or did NBN with targeted marketing bump that spot?
You go first, Alice. I want to give it the neutrals with scarcity resources.
It's not
So
out
Yeah.
my personal favorite one is actually still enhanced login protocol.
But
That's
do you
why
think? But that's your favorite. But do you think HPE has the best current?
No. I think in general, I think cerebral static is the best current.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the ability just because I mean when I choose 80% of my deck, is probably because of the runner ability, and especially in like the Anarch suite, like the choice of Wizard or Null or whatever, whichever one of those, Valencia. Well, I mean Val's kind of irrelevant there, but like the choice of that runner, like if it's blanked, that hurts. Like getting your Wizard ID blanked is painful. So I think cerebral static is the winner for sure. I think it's definitely the winner.
Corey,
So
what do you
Number
got
one.
for best?
So, I mean, my favorite still is current in general is ELP. I love that current. I've played it so many times, and I'm probably going to be playing it in the future when other IDs come out. I think it's just solid all around.
I think cerebral static is the best. I
Yeah.
think ELP is the most versatile.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I'm with that.
Yeah.
I'm with that.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to say it. I think cerebral static, like in the games that it works. Like it elbow drops from the top rope on top of the rudder.
Super fly.
Yeah. So it's good.
I mean, and if we want to include the scarcity of resources in this discussion,
That
I think
card's
that
got so much potential.
yeah. I mean, for versatility, I still think that enhanced login protocols is more of a go-to, just because I think losing that click is worth more than the 2 credits in the long run, especially if it can stack a couple turns. But that scarcity of resources is something that I really think that people should look at as like an everyday include.
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be really interesting when that card drops to get hit with that. And I think some people may look at it, and I don't know if it's sunk in, but I think when you're setting up your Anarch, you're like, all right, man, I'm ready to do this. And then the corpse is like, oh, there's scarcity resources. And you look at your hand, and you're just like, oh, this really sucks now.
This really sucks.
Yeah.
I was going to go run R&D, Fall Guy DLR, or whatever. So I don't know, what am I going to do?
I'm about to have a bad time.
All right, round table, quick final thoughts on currents. Corey?
Good. I mean, I think Corp's got some great currents and good selections, and it helps design around some really good deck ideas. I think it's a win. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I think currents, I've been a ambassador of them for a while. I think they should be played. I think the designers really need to look at the design space. My only qualm with currents is how they're distributed across the factions. I have no idea why some factions get so little. I mean, at least the corporation side, everybody has 2 to choose from at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on runner side, it doesn't make any sense.
No, how those currents came out is just weird. And I don't know if it's because like, hey, currents are out, and then an NBN got a big box and that helped boost it. And I just don't know why there's a flood in NBN for currents. If that's a thematic thing that I'm missing, I don't know.
Is it weird that it seems like the initial current releases for most of the factions are still their top currents? Like first current for Jinteki, triple static, first current for HB, ELP, first current for Weyland, wasn't that paywall?
No, because I think it's a learning curve with mechanics and things like that, right? Like it's just like the core set. It's like some of the core set cars are still as good as they are because they were the first.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard to judge a mechanic, and I think you have to make your first kick out the door has to be strong, or people won't use it.
Yeah.
Hollis, what do you think here?
I think that, especially knowing that rumor mill is out, and it's if someone's running it, it hoses Jackson and a whole bunch of other Glacier options. It's probably a great idea in general just for corps to be considering a current in their deck, just to have one, just in case. And because of this, I think there are some good options across the board for each faction. All the ones Chris said, EOP, triple static, paywall implementation. Like, either they're extremely high impact and they're in faction, or they're low impact and out of faction. And they just do something like their primary job is to get rid of the other current that the runners played. And I think that's fine. I think that the issue was that currents weren't played very much, and they're making them important. They're making the global enchantment of the game important, an inherent part of the game, and I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's
Cool.
totally fine.
To touch on, what do you guys think of this one quick? This comment jumped out at me from Master 11. You have to stop looking at the game as factions. It's just runner versus corp. The runners all share the same card pool, just like the corp. Thoughts on that?
Well, sure. Like, I agree. I agree to the extent that that they all share the same card pool, but like I mean, if we're going to speak competitively, like there's certain cards that aren't included in other factions primarily because the deck slots and influence requirement to include them in other factions are very prohibitive. Like, it's pretty clear why Clones Are Not People are 3 influence and why I'm not going to put it into like another deck.
Yeah,
that
and
is
I
out
think
of
that's
faction.
I think that's why I can't look at it that way. Just to answer the question.
Yeah.
Because every card has a weight to it.
Yeah.
And every card is weighted into faction. So a faction can use a card for free, but one faction on the same side, like Jinteki, can't use the same. It doesn't have the same card pool available to them that HB does, because of the costs and the weights and things like that. So that's my reasoning for why I have to deep dive each side.
Right. Yeah, and it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just gonna say, like, I understand, like, if you want to talk about if it was currents from one, like if we talk about what's stronger, runner or corp, we can group them all together. But when we're just talking about all of them overall,
Yeah.
I think there's going to be certain cream that rises to the top.
Yeah, and that's not to say that like a current that is high influence can't be used and moved like to another faction, but
It's just harder.
It's just much harder. Like in this game, IDs have most of the time anywhere between 12 to 15 influence, with rare exceptions of it being 17. So when you are designing a deck and you are attempting to make a strategy that works, like that current has to, number one, fit that strategy you're designing and be fairly high impact. You'll notice that a lot of the best decks have high impact cards that do a pretty decent job of mitigating the limiting factors that make the limiting factors on the cards that are high impact. So, like when you look at the political cards that can't have any protection, you will often see that people are playing decks that spam remotes, that in general make it difficult for you to check every one so they can get a single usage or so. A single usage or so just to make it beneficial. Whereas if I were to take that same card and try to move it into a different faction, it's hugely beneficial, still in a different faction, but I don't necessarily think that how hugely beneficial it is the right call comparatively for what's available in faction, because I'm limiting options based on influence. It's complicated. I don't know how to play Netrunner. Corey, how do I play Netrunner? How do I build decks? I don't know.
He just plays corp.
I only play corp. I never play runner.
You flip over and he's like, here's my corp ID. And you're like, cool, fun game. What's your next one? Oh, it's my other corp ID.
I run 2 Jinteki decks. Got him.
Got him.
Yeah,
No.
I first one to advance 7 wins. Oh.
Yeah. But I kind of see the idea as far as looking at that you have like a massive card pool. And so in that sense, like everything's on the table. That could be kind of more of like kind of what they were looking at. But yeah, I definitely see though, you want to look at it in factions, and I'm a big theme guy. So, and since I come from an L5R background, it's really easy for me to get a favorite and stick with something, and this is what I want to play because I'm this player. And so sometimes I can narrow your focus a little bit on building in the card pool, because you may see something and be like, nah, it's not in theme, or nah, I don't want to use that, or I don't want to play with cards from that side. So it can happen.
It can happen to you.
it does. No.
All right, guys. Thanks everybody for coming out. Stay tuned next week where we flip the script on this, flip the coin. We will talk about.
Wait.
Uh-oh.
I'm asking them just in case for any other questions.
Oh,
because
okay.
I'm always afraid that if we don't do this, like someone sends us like 500 messages after the show.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, wait a minute, I really wanted to know this answer, and I'm like, I didn't know you wanted that. I'm sorry. So I apologize to interrupt the outro. By the way,
Okay.
got some excitement brewing for L5R.
Just a little bit, just a hair, small bit.
Yeah, chat. This is your time. If you have questions, we got answers.
Or Hollis does at least.
Awesome. Yeah.
These may not be the answers that you want, but you're gonna get them. Damn it, you're gonna get them.
There's a possibility of a Bad Pub L5R edition.
Exactly. That's
Is
true.
there, Corey? Is that a thing?
It's been in chat. It's been talked about off air. So I'm definitely going to champion that pretty heavy. So we'll see what happens.
All right, I think we don't have questions. We just
I
have
think we're good.
more
I think we just covered everything so effectively that there's just no need for questions, right?
It looks like it. It looks. Why is any? I'm going to type in.
He's been trying all chat.
Trigger. Tilt. Done. You did.
I mean, it's funny. It's like, man, Indian's really, really good. You know what we should do? We should give him more influence.
More. Well, we'll see how that swings soon enough. Right?
Oh.
Wait.
Kaijudo Master 11. I want to start reading the Android books. How many are there, and what order do I read them? Okay, Kaijudo Master. Here's the thing. So there's the 3 old ones. Wait, this guy said 8? Hold on, pause. What?
There you go.
Oh, sorry, I missed those. No, there's 5 novels. All right, yeah, so there's 5 novels and 3 novellas. I know the first novel, I think is Gollum. I've read that one. I have not read the other ones. So I do not know what the other novels are and how
I think those can be read in any order. As long as, like,
Yeah.
Gollum has 3 parts. As long as you read those in order,
Right.
You're good. And then Strange Flesh is separate, and Free Fall is separate. To me personally, if you want to get into the books, I'd pick up Monitor right away. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and that was quick and easy, and and a great read.
And Worlds of Android is also, if you just want to get a massive immersion of just everything Netrunner, that's just a fantastic pickup.
Yeah,
Because this is going to absorb you in all the different areas of the world and give you some really cool visuals and some nice story and stuff behind everything.
If you're looking to get into the books to get the backstory on things, I think you'd probably like the World's book better.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Monitor, and Jameson just said it, but we just reviewed Monitor recently. So if you want to see our we have a non-spoiler and a spoiler review. So if you're interested in hearing about it, definitely click on those links as well in the in our videos and watch those. We really liked it. We thought that this novella written by
Lee Alexander.
oh no, say it again.
Lee Alexander.
Lee Alexander. We thought that was like a really well crafted.
Or is it may be Lee Smith now.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But yeah, Monitor was really, really good. I'm really excited for what the next novella is, written by a different gentleman that is going to be about Rena, which is really, really cool.
Should be good too, because Dan, who wrote the next one about Rena, is co-creator of the whole Android universe, right? With Kevin Wilson,
wow, nice.
right? So, that'll be interesting. And we've also seen the spoiler for the next one to come out.
Yep.
So
Yeah, cool.
I'd stick with the novellas for a bit. I want the backstory on the game.
Sure.
Watch those reviews. Yeah, grab the backstory on the game. That Android Universe book is so chocked full of theme, full of everything, and I don't think anything flushes out the backstory like that larger novel. And the art in it is just so phenomenal. Good stuff. Anyway, guys, thanks a bunch, everybody, for joining in. As always, great turnouts for these events that we have live. Thank you, everyone, for listening all the way to the end. If you're listening to the audio version, if you're watching this on replay, thank you for doing that. We usually broadcast Thursdays sometime after 10:30 start Eastern time. Yeah. Thank you very much. Netcast out.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Have a good night, guys.